right, so everybody out there in the world watching, we have Dan Velte with us today. He's the Senior Director of League Development and Regional Ops for Little League International. Pumped to have you on with us today, Dan.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
It's a good day, and it sounds like, from what I heard last night, we're going to maybe, let's cross our fingers, have some Major League Baseball happening this year.
Yeah, let's hope so. That would be great.
Totally. So everybody out there watching today, so we're going to be talking a little bit today about, how we go back to playing baseball and what Little League is doing to kind of make this thing happen here. Because I know everyone wants to get back on the field. Little League's been a partner with Easton for a long time. We value that relationship. I got to tell you, Dan, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, probably the best sporting event that I've ever been to in my life is the Little League World Series. I got goosebumps, man. Look at that. It's just chicken skin.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent, and obviously a fair amount of personal bias here. But, I've been with Little League for 19 years, and each year it's just as special. So I'm with you.
So special. And no matter how you play a championship or even just to get there, it's got to be unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
So, all right. So tell me a little bit about what does the return to Little League look like? Does everything stay the same once we get it all clear, or are there certain restrictions that are going to have to be implemented? Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, it's really different for everyone. What makes us unique is we're a true global organization. So the most important thing is that everyone has to follow their local guidelines. And so the approach that we ultimately decided to take was to develop a comprehensive return to play guidelines and return to the field guidelines. So we wanted all of our local leagues, regardless of whether you're in Italy, Spain, California, Pennsylvania, to be ready to go when you have that all clear. And we wanted to help our volunteers. And so it will look a little bit different, and I think everyone is fully expecting that, as with everything in life. And I'll give you an example. So you may see an umpire, as opposed to being behind home plate, they'll be behind the pitcher's mound calling balls and strikes, but small compromise to make to get kids back on the field. But, ultimately what we think could happen is Little League, as it always has done, bring communities together, get kids back on the field, and that ultimately is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, if there are little things that change, like the umpire behind the mound, it is what it is. And it's all about kids getting out there and competing, having fun in their neighborhood with their pals.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
The best. So what are some of the challenges that are going to be unique to trying to reopen youth sports?
Yeah, I think anyone that's coached youth sports, not just baseball and softball, but any youth sports, is getting the kids to adapt to some of the changes that everyone's going to have to make. So, you're used to kids, equipment everywhere, kids jumping on each other, giving each other high fives. And so things are going to be a little bit different in terms of what they have to do and how they operate when they're on the field and with their friends. And so educating kids is one of the biggest challenges that we face. But also, BK, what we found is just getting adults and everyone to be patient. So everyone is just dying to get back on the field. And at the same time, volunteers at the local fields and at the parks have to do some things differently. And so being patient and make sure that the volunteers have the ability to put their plan in place to make sure that they're operating a safe program for families and kids to get back to. And then also at the same time, giving kids time to get used to being back together. Socially, they haven't been together for a long time. Coaches want to jump right back into it, but kids need time to get back into baseball and softball shape, getting their arms ready. That's really important to us. And so we're recommending that leagues take a couple of weeks, allow everyone to transition, families, kids, volunteers, to get back on the field. And that's probably been the biggest challenge that we've faced.
Yeah, I get it totally, because it's going to be so dependent on where you are located. I'm in California, you're in Pennsylvania. We spoke yesterday, and I think you told me you guys had your first game. I don't know if it was last night or tonight or tomorrow, but you guys are starting. My kid, here's one of them right here. He just, his league got canceled. So we're basically shut down for the year. But it's great to hear that leagues are starting up again soon and following the protocols that you guys are putting into place so everyone's safe.
Yeah, without a doubt. We started, my son's 8 years old. We started last week, had our first few practices, had practice last night. Everyone's getting back into it, and we start our games this weekend.
It's going to be, and so I've got, as the dad of a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, like, you guys are putting things in place which are going to be different, like, safety measures, and parents are going to probably have a pretty big responsibility in getting this stuff to happen, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And there is some pressure on the parents. So what we expect from parents is they have to understand that there's some pressure on volunteers as well, local volunteers. Um, they're volunteering their time. They don't do this for a living. And so now with this guide that we presented to them, they're going to have to do some things differently. And so setting that up to get the field ready so that, you might have different sanitation stations around the facility, making sure that they're properly placed, making sure that people are following one in, one out, local guidelines when it comes to restrooms and things of that nature. So we think it's critically important that parents are patient with the volunteers and what's happening at the facility. But at the same time, parents have to follow common sense hygiene as well. So making sure that their kids and their players are washing their hands, making sure that they're reminding their players that they shouldn't be sharing equipment or drinks or buying them sunflower seeds and bubble gum during the games. Just those friendly reminders so that the coaches and the volunteers don't have to do it, but it's also coming from the parents that telling the kids that it's going to be a little bit different. Here's what you have to expect. Let's not share drinks with each other. Let's try to distance as much as we can, and just prepping their kids that things are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, while some things are different, the competition and the fun that baseball and softball bring never will change. I mean, hey, whether you get that win or the loss at the end, if there's even no fans there, it's, you're going to feel the same emotions.
Yeah, no doubt. The one thing that we've joked about is, so the kids most likely won't be using dugouts. Parents they won't be in the stands. So if you can picture this, parents will be around center field, out in the outfield watching the game, and it might not necessarily be a bad thing
The
because
peanut gallery, Dan.
yeah, you were telling me some good stories yesterday about your coaching days. So
Oh,
the
my goodness.
parents won't have the ability to coach from the stands, yelling at the kids, keep your elbow up. So it might be a little pressure on the kids because they can't hear the parents. Allow the coaches to coach a little bit. And so that might be a good change that comes out of this.
It's almost going to be like a Sandlot mentality, like where you're just out there playing with your friends and having fun.
Yeah, without a doubt. Absolutely.
So you touched on a couple of the things that, like, what you guys are looking for with leagues to operate safely. So let me get this couple of the points. So one is like common sense, right? You don't show up to the field if you've been sick or think you're sick or have a family member that's sick. And two, we're keeping our hands clean all the time. Three, I think you mentioned, like, not sharing equipment anymore. So, like, kids are probably going to have their own bat, their own helmet. I know we spoke about it yesterday, the catcher's gear, because, like, on my 6-year-old's team, they all play catcher. So it's going to be a way of sanitizing that equipment in between innings.
Yeah. A traditional Little League program, you're used to sharing equipment. A kid gets a new bat and everyone wants to use that bat. And so, now it's a little bit different. We're trying to encourage everyone not to share equipment as much as they possibly can. As we talked about, kids probably won't be in the dugout, so the kids will be in the stands. That's a little bit, it's different because in a traditional Little League field, you probably can't space out everyone properly in the dugout. So that's different. Again, no sharing of drinks, and trying to limit as much as we possibly can the sharing of equipment.
Yep. So that's interesting too. And I forgot to ask you about it yesterday, but so that spacing out, right? Like the social distance stuff in, when a team comes in and it's their turn to hit, the players all have to be like spaced out. Is that what it's going to be? Some in the stands, some in the bench?
Yeah, you got it. So most leagues, you'll see the kids sitting in the stands like spectators as opposed to being in the dugout. And then as the coaches get them ready to come up to hit to keep the game moving, they'll pull some of them down. But equipment will be spaced out outside of the dugout rather than that mess of a pile of equipment that you typically see at a youth baseball and softball game.
Yeah.
So that'll be different, just keeping the kids separated out and, a lot of help with coaches, keeping the kids moving, keeping them engaged.
That may not be a bad thing, like you said. Coach, where's my helmet? Where's my bat? Where's my glove? Dude, you put it in little Johnny's bag.
Yeah, you hear it nonstop.
Totally. So, and then, the last thing that, at the end of the game, such a great Little League tradition, right? The teams line up. They go and shake each other's hands. Our team has always gone to the, our opposing fans and thank them, and then they come back and thank our people. It's going to be a lot of air fives this year, right?
Yeah, no high fives this year. That's one of the things that we're recommending that leagues don't do. But what we're recommending, because you're right, sportsmanship is still one of the key components of Little League. So we're recommending that both teams just come out of the dugout, tip their cap to each other, good game, so that we don't lose that sense of sportsmanship and we can maintain that.
Got it. So Little League World Series, back to the beauty of Williamsport. Has there been any talks about, doing a 2020 Little League World Series, or is that pretty much moving on to next year?
Yeah, good question. We get that a lot. And one of the things that really makes it impossible for us to do that is internationally, our tournament trail starts in April. So we have to have that qualifier leading up to the World Series. So it would really be virtually impossible for us to delay or have the 2020 World Series at another time based on the qualifying time that we need. And also the fact that a lot of kids are going back to school. August, you have some kids are back, some aren't. So it'd make it a little bit challenging for us.
Got it. And then when Little League World Series does return, do you think it's going to take a similar approach to like pro sports, no fans next year, maybe regimented schedules? I guess it's hard to tell because it's so far out. But
yeah, never say never. That's one thing that we've learned with this. But at the end of the day, I think it would be challenging. One of the great things about our event is the journey that families and parents are on leading up to the World Series, and you're celebrating with your community and your family and everyone. So to not have family and friends and fans in the stands, I think our event would lose a little bit of the integrity that it has. So I think that would make it a little challenging to do. But, never say never, and we're open to exploring all options.
that's right. So fun to watch those fans from other parts of the world come in and the chants and the cheers. Gosh, I used to love that.
Yeah.
I'll miss it this August, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna miss it a lot.
Yeah, I think we all are. It's certainly a new normal for us, not preparing. We'd be in the middle of the tournament trail right now. So it's certainly different for us right now. We're all going to miss it.
Totally. So what do you think, getting towards the end of this thing, what do you think the biggest long-term effects of this coronavirus pandemic are going to be on youth sports?
I think there's some opportunities, not just for Little League baseball and softball, but for all sports, to really maybe regionalize sports again, youth sports. Parents may not be traveling as much. Kids may not be playing as many sports in one season, and they may go back to focusing on whatever sport is in season. And at the end of the day, you may see an increase in volunteers. Families are getting back together, used to spending time together. And so we hope we see an increase in volunteerism, but we're taking this time to really do some things differently, engage our membership through a lot of our digital assets, a lot of coach training, coach planning, and doing some things differently. So we're taking it as an opportunity to improve the program. And we think there may be a lot of positive that can come out of this to get more kids on the field and get more volunteers engaged.
It's good stuff, Dan. We hope every league can get back soon and people can, start playing baseball and softball together with the local communities and having a good time, because that's what this is all about. And you guys do such a great job of promoting that. Proud to be sponsors with Little League World Series, Little League Baseball, softball. Good stuff you guys are up to.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it, BK.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on today. Everybody out there, stay safe, stay healthy, stay ready. Hope you guys get back on the field soon. We'll catch you next time.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.